Welcome to the Soldering Lab. In this lab, you will be learning the basics of soldering. We will start with a quick introduction to go over safety, what soldering is, and what you can use as circuit boards in your projects. We will also let you know how to set up your workspace. Then, we will show you how to solder two wires together, and as a first activity, you will be invited to do the same. After this activity, you will be shown how to solder components to printed circuit boards, including through-hole components as well as surface mount components. After these activities, we will cover maintenance principles when soldering, which will ensure the soldering iron remains functional for as long as possible, but will also ultimately make your soldering experience an enjoyable and positive one. Finally, we'll show you other accessories that are used in soldering before giving you a review of the lab content. Before you start this lab, we will ask you to make sure to find a good room in your house or apartment. This room will ideally be evenly lit and free of clutter. You may have to try out a few rooms before you find the right one. A good trick is to limit the natural lighting to your room by closing your blinds and to open an artificial light. You'll want to find a uniform and light-colored wall and face it for the duration of the lab to serve as backdrop. Additionally, please be aware of your surroundings at all times. You may experience lag in the simulation, depending on what device you are using. You may alleviate this by closing the simulation at any time and restart where you left off. It is recommended to use a Chrome browser on an Android phone for best results. You will need a cardboard headset to properly view the entirety of the simulation in VR. The lab you are about to do runs a color tracking add-on which is used to detect hand movement. You will need something yellow on the back of your hand which will track its movement, and something blue on your fingers which will track if your hand is open or closed. For example, these can be sticky notes, colored paper, or bristle board, or even tape, as long as it is a uniform color and you can secure them to your hand. After these slides, you will be asked to calibrate your color trackers so your phone's camera knows what to look for. Make sure your environment and your colors are working properly with this procedure. Hand movement in the activities are restricted to the XZ plane. To control it with your hand in front of your camera, your hand must move in the XY plane instead, as shown on screen. To help you, you will find orange cubes floating in front of an object you are supposed to interact with in the activities, and there will be drop pins in areas where you are supposed to drop an object. Additionally, if the virtual hand turns green, it means that it is the correct location to execute an action. In the simulation, you will also use the gaze-based interaction to navigate and select options on the screen. The dot in the middle of the screen will turn from blue to red when an item can be selected. Keep your gaze on an item while it counts down from 2 to make a selection, as shown on screen. Last but not least, make sure to attentively read the on-screen instructions and listen to the videos. These instructions outline all the steps you will need to pass the lab. A general tip regarding equipment use is to ask questions whenever you find yourself in the lab in person and are unsure about how to use the equipment. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. It should be noted that you may read more on the subject of soldering on the SEED Wikipedia, the link for which is shown on screen. Finally, and this one is very important, make sure to have fun during this lab.